Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video day. And tonight, the NFL Draft 2023 Round 1 was a crazy night. A crazy night. Picks, very unexpected picks were made. A lot of trades that happened that shocked, I think, the NFL world, and especially the Texans with Will Anderson. Just a crazy, crazy night in the NFL. And it's going to be really exciting to go over these first 31 picks that were taken today in this draft, and really excited to go over it all, and let's get into it. Obviously, the Panthers at number 1, that was expected with Bryce Young. It wasn't for sure yet, but we kind of knew Bryce Young was going number 1. So he goes number 1, even though the Texans have doubts about drafting a quarterback at number 2. The Texans still go with the quarterback at number 2. My Houston Texans draft C.J. Stroud at 2. But they wanted Will Anderson. So they're sitting down there at 12. They're sitting down there at 12. They're like, you know what? We're here at 12. We might as well, make the most of it. Make our team better. D'Amico, he wants to get the defense better. He's a defensive coach. He's a defensive guy. He wants that defense to be top-notch. So you trade the 12th overall pick, the 33rd overall pick. That is it's the second pick of the second round, but the first pick of the second round is 32, which usually would be the last pick of the first round because of the Dolphins' first-round pick being forfeited this year. So that was 33rd overall pick, which is basically the first pick of the second round. It's the second pick of the first round, but if 32 would usually be the last pick of the first round. So you give them 33, you give them 12, you give them a 2024 first-round pick, which still now I don't know if that is the Texans' first-round pick for next season or if that is the Browns pick that the Browns gave us for Deshaun Watson. If you know, please tell me, because this whole night I've been wondering what first-round pick did we give them, the Browns' first-round pick or our first-round pick. So they give, and then we also give them we give them a 7th-round pick as well. So we give them a 7th-round pick, which was $259, I believe. And then we give them 33, 12, and 33, 12, and then the 24 first-round pick. And then we draft Will Anderson Jr. at 3 and just probably win the... I don't know about winning the whole draft, but I think we definitely won the first round for sure. And possibly the whole draft. But yeah. All right, moving on to number 4, Colts draft Anthony Richardson, get their future quarterback of the future. Although it might take some development for Anthony Richardson, and I do think there's a chance Richardson isn't the quarterback to start off in Indy next season. I think Gardner Minshew could start off the season, just as Bryce Young's not expected to start. Bryce Young's, their timetable is 6 to 10 weeks. First 10, let Bryce learn and develop a little bit, as usually most rookie quarterbacks do. That's what they're possibly going for, 6 to 10. But I think by week 3, week 4, maybe even week 5, and I'm not saying Andy Dalton's going to do bad, but I'm just feeling like Bryce Young in between week 3 and week 5 will be when we see Bryce Young's debut. Now, C.J. Stroud, I think it could be a little bit different. I think C.J. Stroud could be a guy who starts off week 1 right off the bat. But Anthony Richardson, I think most likely he's going to start off the bench. And I honestly think he can be one of the guys that was drafted. Out of the 3 quarterbacks that were drafted in the first round, I think he's going to be the guy that sits on the bench the longest. Bryce is, about 6, they think 6 to 8, but I think Bryce will be in by week 3 to week 6. And then CJ should start off right debate. I don't know when Richardson comes in, because Minshew's a decent quarterback, and they want Richardson to develop. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see when Anthony Richardson makes his NFL debut. Devin Witherspoon was drafted at 5. They passed on Will Levis, and apparently that was a good decision, because they had another pick at 20, and he still wasn't available, and they still didn't pick him. So, Will Levis wasn't even drafted in this first round. He wasn't drafted at all in this first round. which, there was talks about him potentially going 1 to the Panthers. There were talks about him going to the Colts at 4. Talks about him potentially going to the Seahawks at 5. Talks about the Raiders at 7. Talks about the Titans at 11. Talks at the Texans at 12 and 3. So this was a guy that this is a guy that was expected in multiple places in the top 12 and didn't even get picked in the first round. I just think there was after 12, there was just a list of teams that were not in need of a quarterback. Packers at 13 were not in need of a quarterback. Steelers were not. Jets were not. Commanders could have, but have Sam Howell, have Jacoby Brissett. We're going to go into the defense instead. The Patriots do not. Lions could have thought about it, but didn't. Stick with the defense. Bucks could have done it, but they didn't. Seahawks, again, passed on him. Chargers do not need a quarterback. Ravens do not need a quarterback. Vikings could have done it. They didn't. Giants don't need a quarterback. Bills don't need a quarterback. Cowboys don't really need a quarterback because they're just going to ultimately end up playing Dak. Jags don't need a quarterback. Bengals don't need a quarterback. Saints don't need a quarterback. Eagles or Chiefs don't need a quarterback. So there was just a window between, from after 12, after the Lions picked at 12, there was a huge window where not a lot of teams needed a quarterback, and that's why Will Levis fell off this draft. So, yeah. But moving on to pick 6. But I do like the Devin Witherspoon pick. I think he's going to be a really decent corner and great for Seattle's defense. They also had another really good draft pick in this draft. 6 at Paris Johnson Jr. I love this pick. They could have picked Jalen Carter or Tyree Wilson at 6, but instead they decided to draft Kyler Murray's some help for Kyler Murray when he returns from his ACL injury. Get him some protection, which is amazing because after having a quarterback who just tore his ACL, you always want to get some protection. And Paris Johnson Jr. is one of the best offensive tackle in this draft. I think that was a great move there by Arizona. Also, his father played for Arizona. I don't think he was that good, but he played for Arizona, was drafted by Arizona 23 years ago. The Raiders draft Tyree Wilson. They trade up. They went from... No, they didn't trade up. Never mind. But the Cardinals did trade up. So we saw the Cardinals go from 3 to 12 with the Texans. And then they went from 12 to 6 with a trade with the Lions, which I think the Lions got a couple extra picks for that too, which can't remember those picks. But really nice move getting Paris Johnson Jr. there. Then at 7, the Raiders get Tyree Wilson. I think he's going to be really good. There is an injury concern with him, I think I heard earlier, but I'm not too sure on that. But great pick right there to help the defense and get some help with Max Crosby on the defensive line. Bijan Robinson at 8, as a Texas Longhorns fan, you got a beast there. It's going to be really fun to watch. That Falcons team. I've been saying for 2 years now, whoever drafts Bijan Robinson, they just gained a half a fan. I mean, I'm always going to be a full Texans fan, but I love Bijan as a player. I love him as a dude. He's just an amazing guy, and I'm going to root for whoever he's playing for, unless he's playing for one of the teams I hate the most, which I can't name any off the top of my head, but there are a couple. But I mean, yeah, Bijan is an amazing dude. I'm so happy that he got drafted where he got drafted. I kind of wanted him in Philly because I thought Philly with Bijan would have been nasty with that run game. But I think that's a great place for him. I think he's going to be dominant in that division and I think the Falcons odds have to go up to. I think the Falcons' odds have to go up to win the division next season. At 9, Jalen Carter. I think the Eagles were one of the biggest winners in this draft, having Jalen Carter fall to 9. They traded up so they could get him, just in case the Bears were gonna do something. They traded up. The Bears were sitting there at 9, so they flipped one spot, drafted Jalen Carter from Georgia, and they drafted someone else later in this draft from Georgia as well, which I think was a huge W for the Eagles. And then at 10, the Bears traded down one spot. They drafted Darnell Wright from Tennessee. They need some help for Justin, and they got that with Darnell Wright. Love it there. And then they passed on Peter Skoronski. He goes next pick to 11 at the Titans. Great move right there. And then Jamar Gibbs at 12 with the the Lions. I love Jamar Gibbs. He's a talented running back. But why the hell did the Lions draft a running back at 12? I mean, Bijan, that was a talent. And I'm not saying, I think the only reason that the Lions have to see something in this kid that we don't, because the Lions are at a position where they have a really decent, maybe future star in DeAndre Swift, a really nice veteran running back in David Montgomery. They really didn't need to add in a running back. And a running back, might I add, that was projected to go in the 20s to 30s. So, just crazy how they picked him at 12. I mean, his draft stock went crazy because he was in the 50s at one point. Then he went to the 30s. Then he went to the late 20s. He just kept going up and up on mock drafts, and he landed at 12 with the Lions. That shocked me. It really did shock me. And then 13, the Packers draft Luke Van Ness, nice defensive end. 14, the Steelers get some more protection for Kenny Pickett and get Broderick Jones. I really like that pick. He's a really nice young offensive tackle. Then there was a lot of surprising picks in this draft. I was like, what? The Jets draft Will McDonald the fifth at 15, linebacker. I mean, like, what? Because I'm just personally thinking here, this is a guy on some mock drafts was projected to go like 35 to 40. But, whatever. I mean, I don't know. It just confused me a little bit. But why, if you want him that bad, trade down then. Because I don't think anybody was going to really take him from, it could be, maybe the Lions would have thought about it at 18. The Bucks would have. I think you could have gone down to at least, I don't think anybody was going to trade up though. So I guess that was a good decision at 15 because I don't think really anybody was going to trade up. They might have thought about trying to trade down. I don't know. I have no idea what was in the Jets' thought process with that. And then the Commanders draft Emmanuel Forbes, a cornerback. Another corner, next pick, 17, Christian Gonzalez at 17 at corner. 18, another Lions pick, Jack Campbell. Another really surprising one here. Jack Campbell, linebacker, was expected to go in the early 40s, mid 40s, and ended up going 18. The Lions making some picks here where these guys weren't even really expected to go in the first round. So the Lions are clearly seeing something in Jack Campbell and Jamar Gibbs that we aren't. And if not, there was just horrible picks because I don't know if I like Jack Campbell because I didn't watch enough of him, but I did watch a lot of Jamar Gibbs from Alabama last season, and he's a definite talent. I don't know if he's top 12 talent, but we'll have to see. Then at 19, the Bucks draft Kalaje Kancey, and then at 20, the Seahawks added in another really nice wide receiver with Jackson Smith-Jigba. So now they have Jigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett, stacked wide receiver core for Geno Smith next season. 22, the Chargers added another wide receiver for Justin Herbert with Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I think this is a huge W for Justin Herbert. He's the biggest W out of this draft pick because Mike Williams, it felt like last season either one of Keenan Allen and Mike Williams was always hurt or both of them was hurt. It didn't, and I'm sure there were some times last season where both were healthy, but it didn't feel like one point at all last season. It didn't feel at all that at one point last season that both guys were healthy. So, to add in Quentin Johnson, a guy from TCU, is a really good wide receiver. Hopefully he should stay healthy, and maybe Mike Williams and both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen both have great health in 2023. Then another wide receiver at 21. So that wasn't 22 by the Chargers. It's technically 22, but it was 21. It skipped 21. So the Dolphins used to be 21. Their pick was forfeited. Chargers were supposed to be 22, and then their pick is now 21. Then at 22 is Zay Flowers with the Ravens, another wide receiver for Lamar Jackson. So Zay Flowers from Boston College going to the Ravens, alongside with Zay Flowers, you also have Odell Beckham Jr. and Rashad Bateman. So for Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews at tight end. So just a stacked wide receiver core for Lamar Jackson going into 2023. Then at 23, another wide receiver, 3 wide receivers in a row. Jordan Addison from USC going to the Vikings. So he's going to Minnesota to play with Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne. They get Addison, kind of replace Adam Thielen. They have some resemblance in their games, I guess. But I think they just added another wide receiver with JJ and KJ Osborne. At 24, the Giants select Deonte Banks, corner. The Bills draft the first tight end of this draft at 25 with Dalton Kincaid. Stole him from the Cowboys because the Cowboys were gonna draft Dalton Kincaid at 26, and the Bills used to be at 27. They traded up from 27 to 26 with the. Sorry, I'm reading this wrong. They traded up from 27 to 25 with the Jags and drafted Dalton Kincaid at 25. I think that was a solid move. So now they pair Dalton Kincaid with Dawson Knox with the tight ends move. And then the Cowboys select Mozzie Smith from Michigan, defensive tackle. And then at 27, the Jags select Anton Harrison. And then at 28, the Bengals select Miles Murphy. Lucky he fell that low to them. And then two straight defensive linemen two straight defensive linemen in a row in the draft that went to Clemson. So Miles Murphy goes to Cincinnati at 28. He went to Clemson, and then Brian Brees goes to the Saints at 29. He went to Clemson. Then final pick of the draft, last two final picks of the draft, the Eagles get Nolan Smith and pair him with Jalen Carter, 2 guys that went to Georgia. The fact that Nolan Smith fell to 30 is just so weird to me, but it is what it is. So the Eagles got him at 30. Then the Chiefs selected Felix Ande-Azuma at 31 at defensive end. And there are still a lot of really decent players, 3 players that are still available starting off day 2 tomorrow for second and third round. Will Levis is still available, who is expected to go at least in the top 15, top 17. No one thought he would really go lower. And then Joey Porter, who was he's a defensive back, he's a corner, who people thought he would definitely go in the first round. And then Michael Mayer, who's a tight end, who's expected to either go to potentially the Lions, the Cowboys, or the Bills in this draft, or even the Chargers, and he wasn't drafted in the first round. So those are the 3 best available players I have to start day 2 tomorrow. I don't know where those players start to get picked. I mean, let's see. I can't pull up day 2, but I do know Steelers have the first pick, so I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback. I think Joey Porter could go first, but it's going to be interesting day 2. We'll see what happens tomorrow. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know your thoughts on day 1. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.